All right, so now we have flattened off one face. This face is going to be our reference. We don't want to lose track of that face. So it's good to mark that face so you know where you're going with it. In this case, I'm going to mark it with just a line across there. Everyone's got a different way they like to mark it. Find what works for you and go with that. This is telling me it's exiting that side. This next edge here is the edge I'm going to flatten so that I make it 90 degrees to this face. And then I'll make a mark here to show that that's what I want. So I'm going to look at that edge. I can see again, looking at the grain direction here, that I want to be planing the board in this direction so I don't get that tear out. So I'm going to come over here to my vise, clamp this board in place, and begin to plane that down and get it good and flat. Now, there are a couple things. If you've got a lot of material to remove on that, you can come back to your foreplane to really tear material out quickly. You can also use a plane called a scrub plane, which is a narrower version. It's also got a blade which is ground with a bit of a roundness to it. Allows you to dig in material very quickly and remove material quickly on an edge. This works wonderfully on that. I don't have too much material I need to take off, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab what works for me. In this case, I've grabbed the foreplane to do this. I find that most of the planes I use in my shop are pretty much a foreplane and the tri-plane or the jack plane to do that. So here we go. You can hear it just tearing out that wood nice and quick. That's a really heavy shaving. Doesn't take it long to get rid of all the tool marks. I've got a little tear out here I want to get rid of. That ought to get us really close. So now I've got a surface that's pretty good, pretty close to flat and smooth. I'll come back in just a second to finish that up. But first what I want to do is check and make sure that it's 90 degrees. I need the face and the edge to be 90 degrees to each other. So I'm just going to take a small square, put that up against there. Again, I'm looking for daylight underneath the blade of the square. Put that down. Okay. So here's what I'm seeing. Grab my pencil. At one end of the board, I don't see much daylight underneath there. It's looking pretty good. In the middle, though, I've got a high on the side and daylight on the other side. And then back at this end, the high is actually shifted here. And part of that could be because of the shape of the blade of the foreplane. But it's good to be mindful that I've got some potential highs in here. So now I'm going to go back to my tri-plane to smooth this up, make it truly flat. Looking for a good even shaving along the way. Set that down. All right. So now I'm really going to be able to see that it's high. It's high. And it's barely high on the other side. So what I'm going to do now to do that, so I've got a high that's moving from my perspective from the right side to the left side of the board. So I need to plane across and clear that out. And I'm going to do that by very carefully starting my plane on the high side of that edge. And I'm going to carefully plane a little bit and then move the plane across the board to the other side to plane like so. I'm not trying to tip my plane in order to even this out. If it's slanted, tipping the plane potentially just makes it worse. You don't have a lot to guide how far you need to tip it. I really just want to take that light shaving across the edge to do this. So again, I'm going to check now that I've taken a shaving. Make sure I don't make it worse. That's pretty good. Closer. That's pretty nice. So here I know that it's nice all the way across. It's high here. and it's high like that. So now I don't really need to ride off the edge of the board for the next pass. I can come more in the center and ride right down there and clean that all up. Pretty even, and pretty even all the way. I like that. That makes me happy. I'm going to go back to grabbing a straight edge here just to check the whole length. So what I'm seeing is this is actually rocking now. So I've created a high in the middle. This has a little bit of a crown to it going on. So I just need to plane a little bit in the middle and then take a pass to make sure it's all even. And I can continue to do that with my triplane. Now, one little trick that sometimes helps, you can remove a little bit more material in the middle and then ride all the way across to try and even that out. We'll see what happens here. So I'm just taking passes for this middle section to get it all flat. I'm going to flatten that down until I don't hear it cutting anymore in the middle there. So what I've done is essentially create slight highs at the front and back. Now my plane can ride on those highs and bring those down to even in the middle here. And you'll hear it enter the cut at one end and then re-enter the cut and exit at the other end. And create a very, very light shaving. And that's actually pretty good over the whole length. We have a longer straight edge here. Yeah. So now that's even all the way. Just double check that it's still square after removing material. So that looks good. Looks good. Looks good. So that is all nice and flat along its length. It's square to the face. I've got a good square corner. That corner is now my reference corner. I'm going to make another mark here just to make sure that I know where that is so that I don't lose that corner. I don't want to plane near this corner again. If I throw this out of square, I could throw my entire board out of square.
If you're interested in learning traditional woodworking, come take a class at our school in Earlysville, Virginia. You can also visit our website at woodandshop.com, where you'll find a bunch of free woodworking lessons, workshop tours, and our very popular tool buying guides. And make sure you subscribe to our free newsletter to get our latest articles and videos. Enjoy!